None, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Maddie?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion passes. The agenda is approved for this evening. The next item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Messick, if you could lead us.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We'll move right into the superintendent's report. 2A is FY25 superintendent's budget. Dr. Couch.
Okay. Good evening, President Getz, members of the board. Tonight is our official superintendent's budget hearing, and this will be the opportunity for me to go through the budget in its entirety. It's really not the time to be asking questions about the budget at this point in time. It's an opportunity to present to those who are in attendance, and then allow for public comment, and then surely if you would like to speak after that, then that would be the way that we would run tonight's meeting. So I will note or begin my presentation by noting that Ms. Stewart is not here. As you can see, she's not here tonight. She broke her foot over the weekend. So that is what she's dealing with, and I think it's going to require some medical attention. So she will not be at tonight's meeting, nor will she be at the presentation tomorrow. So I just wanted to note that, and of course send good wishes. She's probably listening, so I'm hoping everything goes well. And then the next thing that I would note is I will start by going through the proposed budget PowerPoint, and then just flip through the budget handbook, the budget workbook, which is a very detailed accounting of where all the monies are allocated. You'll note that the PowerPoint presentation is a broad 10,000-foot level view of the budget, but the workbook itself takes it down granularly to the department, to the school level, and by category. So that is the way that I will play the presentation or work on the presentation today. So the first is I am presenting the 2025 proposed budget. And so we have shared that. The objectives for this budget is to review the 2025 budget priorities, which we've done. We did that during several meetings, actually. We probably reviewed it 3 times. First is an introduction, an overview, and then a decision from your part in terms of what needed to make the cut, what was taken out. Estimated revenues, we reviewed all the proposed 2025 estimated revenues, and then we reviewed the budget needs in general for the school system. We also reviewed the 2025 budget funding needs to balance the 2025 budget, and we also reviewed the capital improvement funding request for fiscal year 2025. We noted that our budget priorities were as follows. We definitely wanted to prioritize salary increases for our employees. We also have a responsibility, a mandatory responsibility to pay for the increase in health insurance, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get to that in the PowerPoint presentation. And then you heard from Ms. Stewart that our overall operational costs have increased. We have not added additional operational costs into the budget in probably 3 years. So we've noted an increase in utilities. Our buildings are getting older, so maintenance is going up. And so after doing a review, those were the noted increases that we had to put back into the budget. And then, of course, blueprint mandates. I know some people may not agree with the blueprint, but it is a law. We are mandated to provide the requirements as directed by the law, so those had to be accounted for within the budget. You'll note on the 2025 estimated revenues, that's awfully hard to read, so you might want to look at your hard copy. I'm going to look at mine as well. You'll note that the county share, and I won't go through each of the individual line items, but you will note that there's an overall increase of $246,969 from the county share. And that's the difference from fiscal year '24 to fiscal year '25. You'll note that we saw a decrease in the foundation, and I think I noted during one of our meetings, the foundation is really the catch-all. That's where we would fund the fine arts, pay for the majority of the salary increases that couldn't be categorized in any of the buckets that you see outlined in the county share and the state share. And just maintenance, all of those operational costs are really, they have to come out of the foundation. And we saw a $32,078 decrease in the foundation. We saw a decrease in college and career readiness. You'll note that, and I did share with you that college and career readiness is the category in which we pay for dual enrollment. So we know that students, that is not going to go down, and it has actually gone up because this year we were required to pay for not only tuition and books, but we had to pay for fees. And in some cases, the fees were as much as the course was. So we had to estimate what that would be. Now, we did put in place some guardrails in terms of what courses would be allowable and how many courses we would allow students to take per semester. And that they would not be able to take, we would not pay for summer school courses, nor would we pay for winter break courses, which no other LEA is paying for that either. There's just not enough money to pay for all of that. Doesn't prevent a student from taking courses, just we're not going to pay for them. You'll see increases in compensatory education, increase in concentration of poverty, increase in English learners, increase in special education, a decrease in transitional supplemental instruction, TSI, that's where we pay for some of the tutors and providing some additional help in the schools. Pre-kindergarten, there's an increase of $255,947, and a $6 increase in national board certification. You'll see that there is a decrease in $125,000 for the Blueprint Coordinator, which, by the way, is mandated through law, but no funding for that. And then above MOE was the $250,000. If you'll recall, that was the money that came from the Assembly last year and did not transfer over to this coming year's FY25 budget. The state share, you'll see that the foundation decreased by $244,075. Again, that's bad news for us because that is what supports a lot of the other categories, budgetary concerns that we may have that are not covered in each of the categories. Blueprint transition grant, $150,000, there was a decrease in that. A decrease in college and career readiness by $9,125. Transportation saw a slight increase. Compensatory education at the state level, this is state share, was up $131,000, almost $132,000. Concentration of poverty up $299,348, and if you'll recall, Kent County Middle School will be a concentration of poverty school next year. English learners, 78,858 increase. Special education, an increase of 55,000. TSI, a decrease of 20,992. Pre-kindergarten, 87,000. And national board certification, $6. So total state share is $255,126.
An increase?
Yes. So the 2025 estimated revenues continued. You'll see what the county share is and the state share is with concentration of poverty and TSI, and then without. And that's where we came up with the 201,473. So for FY 2025, the budgetary needs, salary projections, we have not completed negotiations, but we had to come up with a placeholder. So that placeholder puts us in line with what I believe that the county is going to be offering to their employees. So that's pretty close to that. So that's what that placeholder is for. The health insurance is estimated to increase by 8%, and that means that we have to budget an additional $302,351. Pension went up as well, so if you add just those salary items, we need $1,421,019. Now, some may say, well, health really doesn't go in for, shouldn't be included with salaries, but it really is all part of compensation. So we have to put that in there. That is the board share that we have to account for with that increase. Other budgetary needs, we anticipated that we would need to increase CCR, which is the line item that pays for dual enrollment. We're increasing that by $55,705. We're proposing a new teacher for Rock Hall Elementary School to address their pupil-teacher ratio concerns in the primary level. So estimated salary and benefits for that individual would be $89,622. Operations, these are our operational costs that we feel that we have to increase in our budget, and we estimated $267,000 that would make us whole with the operational cost increase. Homeschool reviews, as you'll recall, we reduced a position in student services, and therefore we really don't have anybody who is doing the homeschool reviews. And if we hire somebody part-time to do that, we assume it probably would run about $4,000 for that. And that would probably be somebody that had teacher certification and would be able to determine whether they were meeting all of the requirements for homeschool that we're required to oversee. We also put in place a request to add another math teacher at the high school. That would bring all of the departments up to 5 teachers per department. Right now, the math has 4 teachers and every other department has 5. CTE program increase, $6,850, just to meet some of the, if you'll recall, at one of our board meetings, we're adding pathways, particularly with the computer science. A lot of the things that we have to do to address the CTE programs require an increase of $6,850. Those budgetary needs came out to $512,798 for a grand total of $1,933,817. That's what we would need in new revenue to address these needs for FY25. If you subtract the $201,478 in new money, that and then the board indicated that you would like us to consider using $800,000 of our fund balance. That would mean that we need an additional $932,344 in new revenue above the 201 that is proposed in our expected revenue for FY25. And then 2025 capital improvement funding request. Again, I will be asking the county to support our efforts to move the project forward at Kent County Middle School and awarding us monies to move forward with planning and design through the Build to Learn Act effective 2025. Now, we were awarded the $1,822,090 from the Build to Learn Act. And those are dollars that are set aside essentially for most counties, let's put it that way, that was the money that was available to use for capital improvement, long-term, larger capital improvement projects. Kent County Middle School fit that bill, and so the state did approve and awarded us the $1,822,090. That's in reserve for us. If we do not get the money from the county, what will happen is that money could potentially go back into the pool and be reallocated to another school system. And once that money is gone from the Build to Learn Act, the money is gone.
Is that, why do I think it's 2 years? Is there a time frame?
No.
Okay.
So we are requesting from the county $1,748,910, which is about a 50-50 split. And that would mean the total monies that we would need for the planning and design for Kent County Middle School would be $3,571,000 even. And what I would say about that is the planning and design takes a year. It will take a full year, because what we shared with the board was just a schematic, an understanding of what everybody pretty much wanted, what fit into what the state would allow us to build with regard to the number of students, and then the square footage that they would allow for the project. So what will happen, once we put out the bid and we are awarded, say we do get the money from the county, then we would put it out to bid. The good news is the Build to Learn Act and the individuals that work there can provide us with support, us meaning the Kent County Public Schools, with support. They can be the project manager, they can help us with putting things out for bid, and really save the county and save the school system quite a bit of money. And we are working right now with developing and finalizing the MOU that we would sign with them, so that we're all clear on whose responsibility is going to be what with regard to the project. So what would happen is, once we award it to a architectural firm, then they will start the process again of seeing what our needs are, what it is we want to do, and the design could change slightly. It's not going to change the location, but it would potentially change the design. And so that typically would take a full year to finish out and to get final approval from the board. And then once that is done, then you're well positioned to move forward with construction, and hopefully, we'll see some action in the legislature with regard to getting the bill passed to change the funding formula for the middle school. That would be nice. But I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't tell you on that. So that really concludes the overview of the budget. So what I would do now is go through and talk a little bit about the budget book. So I don't know if you can you bring that up by any chance? There's an elf in the there's an elf on the shelf in the computer. Mr. Poor must be working it from home. Okay, so you'll see this is the revenue page, and it pretty much mirrors what I presented in the PowerPoint, but I just wanted to note a couple of things, because I know people in general are talking about our fund balance based on what we have in the FY23 audit. And you'll note as an asterisk on page 2, the fund balance at the end of '23 was $2,405,573. You take out the $800,000 that we are using for the FY25 budget, and that leaves you $1,600,000. So I wanted to make that very clear, that that is what we would have remaining. And that's in an unassigned fund balance. So don't think that the 500,000 contingency is in there. It is not. So that, you have the 2.4, okay, and there's 800,000 that would go towards FY '25. There's still $500,000 in contingency. And one of the things that our auditors were very, very concerned about is spending down our fund balance on recurring costs. Typically, from their perspective, they usually say you need to have up to 5 to 6 months of revenue in order to cover what you might, any kind of, emergency that you might have, and that would be still considerably less than what we are maintaining in fund balance. The next page just provides you just a general overview of the unrestricted budget for fiscal year '24. You'll see that administration makes up about 5.32% of the budget. Mid-level administration makes up 6.99. That's the school level administration. Mid-level administration might be some of the lower level central office employees, perhaps some of the admin, but essentially it's mainly what's out in the schools. Instruction makes up about 37% of our budget. Special education, 10.5. Student personnel services, 1.62. Health services, 1.71. Transportation, almost 6%. Operation of plant, about 6%. Maintenance of plant, 2%. And then fixed charges, 22.94. Oftentimes, when people are trying to anticipate what we have used in our budget, they forget about fixed charges. And fixed charges are FICA and all of the taxes that we have to include with the salary increases or salaries. So it's not just figuring out what you need, you also have to figure out what increase to your fixed charges you'll have to include. The next page is what is requested for unrestricted budget for FY '25, and you'll see it pretty much mirrors the same. There's not anything huge or drastic when you take into account the placeholder that we have for salary increases. So I'm not going to go through all of that individually, but for instance, in administration, it actually went down a little bit, 5.32 to 5.15, but it does have the estimated increases for salaries.
Actually, it looks like transportation went up.
So-
An operational plan.
So unrestricted budget comparison from FY '24 to FY '25, that's where you'll see some of the changes, and I think that highlights it a little bit clearer for you. That's on page 5. It shows that there is some increase to each of the categories, and so I think that makes it clearer. I think what I was trying to do with the other page didn't really make a lot of sense. This is a better page for you to look at to show the difference in the budget categories from fiscal year '24 to fiscal year '25. If you look at page 6, again, that is just a general overview of where the increases are, and you'll see you can easily tie it back to the budget book, which I really like about this, and a lot of times when schools are presenting their budget, they're not complete, they haven't completed this budget workbook, but I feel like it's important for you to see precisely where all of the dollars are being allocated. And I will present this information to the Board of Commissioners as well, just so that there's no hiding about where we're assigning the money and what it's going to. So if you look under administration, It shows a $50,000 increase in salary, and then you can tie it back to Category 1 in administration on page 6. So you can see all of those increases by category, by department, if that's where you'd like to narrow it down to. If you look at page 8, that also talks about supplies and materials. One of the things that I was notified about last week is that PZAM fees will be going up, or for maintaining our membership in PZAM. PZAM is the Superintendent's Association, and so what I was told is that it will be double from what it was this year to next year. So that is not accounted in this budget yet. I think we'll have to take that out of the operational requests that we have, the 297 that we have set aside. And I don't know off the top of my head what we pay for PZAM. I don't know, but it's double. Okay. And it's still less than what we pay for MABE. I'll just note that, but it is double. Okay, so then you'll see the amount that's allocated for MABE and for travel and professional development support and those type of things for the administration category. Then if you look at page 9, that is mid-level administration, and you'll note that it says down at the bottom, this includes salaries of Director of Instruction, Supervisor of Information and Technology, and Supervisor Grant Specialists. So you'll see. And it also notes, just so for your information, you can see the number of FTE that are assigned from 24 to 25. So you can easily see if the increase is attributed to a new position or existing positions. So that's what I like about this budget workbook, is it really provides a lot of detail for you in reviewing the budget. You'll see that in that category, we have the five principals, the 4 assistant principals, clerical at the school. Everything is in the mid-level administration. It's essentially school-based staff, but it could be a few others as well. You'll see also the amount of money on page 11 that we've allocated to mid-level administration for communications, mileage, subscriptions, and dues. The next category is instructional salaries and wages, and that is where the majority of our instructional staff has been placed. So you'll see it's broken down by FTE. There's 121.70 teachers in the FY24 budget, but projected for FY25 would be 125.73. Now, keep in mind that some of those positions that are new, besides the 2 that we're adding, were positions that we couldn't fill this year that we're anticipating filling next year. So we balanced and said, okay, we only had 121.70 actual teachers on staff in FY24, but the FY25 numbers include the positions that we still would like to fill. So you'll see those numbers, again, very transparent so that you can see that the majority of the increase is going for salary increases and not inflating our staff at any one level. It also has instructional assistants and tutors. We also pay for substitutes out of that category, and we're maintaining the $205,000 that we have set aside for substitutes. Other instructional positions, we have people that we pay for at the Kent Blended Learning Academy, which is our online academy that we have at Wharton. And then monies that we set aside for testing and materials of instruction. You'll note that materials of instruction, even though we do have monies allocated for that, I will tell you right now, that is not going to be enough in years to come. We were able to squeak by with all of this because of our ESSER money, which is the COVID money that we had, and using a lot of our Maryland Leads money. But that'll take us out probably to 2027, 2028, and then this is something that I would have you be acutely aware that $81,000 is not going to cut it. You're going to have to most likely triple it, or at least double it. That's how far off you are. Media center supplies, again, very, it's a skeleton supply allocation for sure. Career and technology, athletics and band, again, we have 26,000 set there. I know some people will say, well, you know, athletics and band, that's probably not enough. I think you'll have to revisit that at some point in time and maybe look at allocation, increase in some of the allocation for the fine arts and for the band and whatnot, but I don't think that we have enough time to do anything with it now. That'll just have to be something that you discuss in the future and figure out where you could take from in order to allocate more money. Ed specs, we have 35,000 set aside for the ed specs for middle school, even though it's not going to be ed specs. I still recommend that we leave that amount of money in there because that provides you with the monies that you need to continue to pay Dr. Lever to be on our staff to help with some of the facilities work that he's been doing for us. Athletics, career technology, other textbook needs, software licensing. This is becoming more and more problematic. Again, we have a lot of online programming and a lot of online materials, and the $164,000 is adequate for now. It will not be enough after FY '27 or '8.
Can I ask a question?
Can you let me finish? Yeah, because I'd like to go through, well, go ahead.
No, it's just that back on the ed specs thing, when it says, this includes the cost, service needed to evaluate.
We've already done that, yeah.
I was going to say, we've moved beyond that, haven't we?
Yeah, we
Okay.
have. I think that in Ms. Stewart completing this, she just left the verbiage
Okay.
there, but again, we've completed the ed specs. The ed specs have already been approved. That money is set aside there, and maybe we should just call it facilities. That certainly could be a change that we add. It's not anything that's going to change the overall budget allocation.
Thank you.
Category number 5, page 15, is other instructional costs. As you recall, we had to add a career counselor, so those are some of the costs that were associated with that. WKHS, online programming that we have to do. Also, this would be cost for dual enrollment. You'll see some of those things there. Teacher incentive and support, teacher and support incentives, big whopping $1,000. Not much, but, you know, that's what we do. There is some money in here for the band, dry cleaning, and I know that was a question that was raised in an email that I got this morning, but it is in here. So, but I think because that request came in late, or, well, it came late after us already coming up with the budget, not late for me to talk about it, but late for consideration. So I think that's just something that we're going to have to, either you're going to have to look at when you hire the new superintendent and review it, or, you know, because I think we're still going to have a lot to do with this budget, which may or may not happen on my watch. So I think that might be a full, total conversation that you're going to have at some point. Computer equipment, one of our largest allocations is the $211,000, and that remains pretty much flat. And then equipment, we have very little money set aside for furniture, and it is a problem overall because we are, again, not only are our facilities old, our furniture and our equipment is old. So that is something that is going to be problematic moving forward as well. Category 6, special education, page 17. You will see that under this category, we have our supervisor of special education, our coordinator of special education, and includes the salaries for the secretary in that department and all of the classroom teachers, speech therapists, occupational and physical therapists, most positions that support special education are in here. And you'll see, again, the FTE from FY24 to FY25 listed as well. You'll see that there is an increase, and that is for instructional assistants. Okay, so then you'll see monies that are allocated for materials of instruction. Again, a lot of what we've done in the past is housed all of the materials of instruction in one location, but because we're trying to get closer to the 75-25, which who knows where that will be in years to come, we tried to divide it up and allocate it by school, by categories, so that it would make better sense. We still got a long ways to go to getting to the 75-25, but that's what you have for now. Category 7, pupil personnel services. This includes the salary for the supervisor of student services, the secretary, and includes all of the social workers and student services staff. So you'll see there's a total of 7 people in this category. And again, minimal amount of money allocated for supplies and materials, and some money is allocated for travel. Again, once we get our number from the county and we say we don't get what we need, then obviously we'll have to go back to negotiations. The majority of our budget is allocated to salaries, but you do have areas where there's travel that you could capture some of those and reduce them or do away with them. One of the two. Health services, as you know, we contract with the health department, and so you'll see a slight increase. We're projecting a $6,488 increase, and those numbers are given to us by the health department because they're bound by the salary increases that are mandated by the state, since they are state employees. Category 8 is all the details for health services, and you'll see that for your information. They don't have down the number of contractual health department nurses, but you'll note that we do have the mental health coordinator there, and then we pay the health department for all the services, and we agreed to a 2 CNAs, one CNA, 1 supervisor, and then 5 RNs at each of the, 1 RN at each of the schools. Transportation, you'll note that's page 24. You'll note that that includes the supervisor of transportation, secretary of transportation, driver dispatch support when we've needed it. It's not a permanent position, it's just support where we have the money to do that. And it also pays for all the bus drivers, the bus driver subs, all of the field trip, maintenance trips, bus aides, car van drivers, support drivers. That's a big big budget for that, and we pretty much, and as you'll recall, it also pays for the lease payments for the new buses. And it pays for all of the school cars, which we don't have very many left, so we're down considerably from what we had before. And it also pays for the bus repairs, the bus fuel, everything that we need to maintain the buses. Okay, so category 10 is operation of plant. And you'll see that on page 27, you'll see the $267,000 increase to the operational in maintenance operation of plant. That would include all the utilities, sewer, water, electricity, all of that, and also our maintenance that we are required to repair our facilities. So that's where you'll note the increase was added. And in this category, we have all of the custodians. We don't necessarily, I guess we do have groundskeepers, which would be the people that mow the lawn, which you approved at the last meeting. And then any kind of pest waste management that we have to do would come out of here as well. The next category is maintenance and plant equipment. And you'll see that this is the supervisor of maintenance and the secretary of maintenance and the salaries of all maintenance personnel. That's what's in category 11, and you'll see where the money was allocated in that line item. We also have money there to refinish our gym floors if needed, painting that might have to occur. Very minimal amount, again, not nearly what you're going to need as our buildings start to age. We are spending more and more every year, just trying to keep up with maintenance. Fixed charges, that's when you have, that's where we have the workers' comp, retirement, social security, unemployment insurance, health and life insurance premiums, anything that is fixed costs that are associated many times with salaries, that's where this is taken out of. So you'll see that we have an increase of $326,991. A lot of that is due to the health insurance. So there's that category. And you'll see it broken down individually by category if you're interested in seeing where that was allocated for. Capital outlay, this is for major building and grounds. It says alternations, but should say alterations, but anyways. So you'll see the amount of money that we have for aging schools. Just a notation that most of that will be dedicated to making up the difference that we have to have for the tennis courts. So we do have enough money to redo both sets of tennis courts. And it will be mainly funded by the Assembly, the legislature, and then also by us, school system. And that's going to be wonderful for the kids because that, to me, has been really severely needed to be done, but we just didn't have $350,000. Concentration of poverty. You'll see the grants and what they're approved at. We are anticipating that we will get the personnel grant for Henry Highland Garnett Elementary School. We don't know for sure yet. We're supposed to. I was talking to Ms. Stewart today, and we expect to get the final numbers from MSDE sometime next week. So if it changes, that's what happened the last time. They told us that we were going to get the money for Henry Highland Garnett, and then when they gave us the updated numbers, it was off. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that it's still going to be on the final allocation. And then TSI, which is the Transitional Supplemental Instruction, which provides academic support for struggling learners in kindergarten through third grade. You'll see we saw a pretty significant decrease in that. So we're going to have to really, before we hire anybody for TSI, what I've recommended is that staff go back and really look at where we're paying for these individuals. I know we tried to protect the budget and put some whole salaries in there, and we probably need to revisit that. And what we may have to do is look and see if we've got any part-time people and see, do we put some of the existing IAs and try to help save some dollars in the budget, because that's $152,000 that you might be able to make up somewhere. I'm not saying all of it you'll be able to make up, but there might be some areas that we can cut. And then you'll see, in that category, you'll see some of the federal funding, capital projects. We have in there on page 1 of 1 for school construction requested for FY25. It's the last category. You'll see the amount of money that was allocated by the Build to Learn Act, and then also the amount of money that we're requesting from the county, for a total of $3,571,000. And I'm sorry, I misspoke. We do have one last fund, and that's food service. And you'll see the breakdown on that as well. Now, most of those dollars are flow in, flow out, because they come from the federal government, but that's there for you to look at as well. And that concludes my presentation of the FY25 budget.
Did you want to entertain any questions from the board
Sure.
at this point?
Yep.
I'm glad you brought up band, because I think at some point we do need to do at least a one-time investment in purchasing some instruments, even if we don't do a year after year after year equipment, because I think we got the grant from the Kent Cultural Alliance this year and we were able to purchase some things, but the instruments are all very expensive. Like a nice instrument could be the whole $3,000 budget, but then you wouldn't have to buy that instrument again for 10 or 15 years possibly, because many of the instruments that they are using now are 30 years old. So
Correct.
Just something to keep in mind.
Right, and that really was my point in sharing that little nugget,
Yeah.
is
Thank
that
you.
I don't think we're at a place where we can make that decision right now, because we don't have final numbers from the county. And that can always be added to at a future date. It doesn't have to be now, it doesn't have to be in July. I mean, maybe someone would like to know their allocation as early as July, but you may not be in a place to make that decision till August or September. And that'll have to be, some give and take and some discussion that you'll have to have and see what truly is available.
Yeah, I just wanted to put bees in the bonnets of the other board members. And then I had a question about the, on page 25, the bus contracts for field trips and athletics. Does that include bus travel between schools?
No.
So, okay.
Does not,
So,
we don't have a budget for that.
okay.
Typically, if a school is interested in coming up with something and they want to, say, have a group of students come or travel from school to school, it comes out of their own budget, the school budget.
Out of the school budget.
And/or their PTA or wherever,
Okay.
because we don't have that budget. We don't have that included in the budget. There's no way for us to anticipate that, so.
Thank you.
Were you finished, Ms. Sullivan?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about the field trips? So it's a big jump from, I'm sorry. It's a big jump, I'm on transportation for field trips. It's a big jump from the existing budget. Is it just a case of
New allocation.
making more requests?
Let's
No,
see.
I'm on the
Yeah,
request.
24 to
Yeah, I'm just
12.
on the request. It's like tripled. Well, at least doubled Is that just a case of people asking for more trips, or?
Is that increased costs of,
Yeah,
Yes,
since
increase, I don't know.
I didn't enter in that number, that's a good question, and I will find out and get back with you. I don't want to.
Because all the other than the bus contractors, which I think includes their salaries, everything else stayed static.
So wait a minute. I think part of that includes outdoor education, which we had to put in additional dollars for the Sultana. But I'll verify.
It does say outdoor education. so.
I just need to verify. What else?
on page 13, we're increasing our instructional assistants from 12 to 14. Do you know what the breakdown is of
I don't.
where
No,
they are? Okay.
I don't. And just to let you know, Mr. Hushin is at the Bayside athletic banquet for the seniors. I typically would go, but I'm here, so he's gone to do that. He would probably have an answer for you, but I just don't know. So I will find out the answer to that question as well.
Thank you.
Dr. Couch, you mentioned materials of instruction on page 13,
Yeah.
that 81.9 was not going to be enough.
Moving forward.
Moving forward. What's the timeline for it not being enough? Three months, 4 months, 2 months?
No. I said it'd
FY
probably take
28.
us to FY '27 or FY '28.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't be your problem. No,
Well, I
it is.
mean,
I know,
no, I mean,
specifically won't be your
I was just,
problem, but-
I didn't make the note, I was
Yeah.
making notes about
Yeah.
not going to be enough, and I didn't catch, so I
Right.
apologize if it was.
Yeah, so we paid for multiple years as much as we could with Maryland Leeds and with ESSER. Like, for instance, if we had like Apex Learning, if we could extend it for 3 years and do a 3-year commitment, then pay for it up front, we did that. So every possible area where we knew that we were going to have to purchase something, we did that. We did the same thing with curriculum materials. So if we were able to take it out 2 years, 3 years, however much we had enough money to do, we did.
Okay.
So there will be certain things that will run out sooner than others, but others that will carry you all the way up to FY '28.
Thank you.
And we have a pretty detailed list of where all that is allocated. So we know when it's going to come up, and when we have to look at that moving forward. But thank goodness we had that money, because this would even be bleaker right now, knowing what we have purchased for new curriculum and instruction, for new curriculum materials for the high school, for the middle school. It just all adds up. For the science curriculum that you approved and the lab aids that have to be replaced every year, that's very costly. And I think that we saw some positive results, and you'll find out more at the end. Of course, it usually takes a couple of years before people get used to the materials, and we see a big improvement. But, I think that it was the right thing to do, but it is going to be a recurring cost, and it's not cheap.
And at this point, we are not cutting positions, not reducing positions through attrition, and we are still attempting to fill positions that were maybe not full this year.
At this point, yes.
At this point, okay.
No telling what will happen
Right, this time
when it
tomorrow.
comes. Yeah, not that we're going to know what our allocation is going to be from the county, but,
What do you anticipate to take tomorrow after you've made your
I'll
presentation?
do this same presentation. I will advocate for our employees and advocate that it is a matter of fairness and equity, that our employees are treated fairly as other county employees are treated.
I didn't frame that question correctly. They won't give you an answer tomorrow.
No.
That's what I sure, okay. So,
Yep. They will not give me an answer. Well, maybe I'll get a hint. It's
yeah.
possible.
No, I'm just trying to.
But they're not going to give me a final answer.
I'm trying to think about the sort of compressed time frame that. you
It's
know, this-
always every
Okay,
year.
Yeah.
Every year. This county is one of the last counties to come up with their budget.
Right.
And I think you heard me, Ms. Sullivan, advocate for, can we start sooner? Is there any way to start sooner? And I think we've actually started a bit later.
Yeah. And I plan to attend the budget workshop tomorrow and to advocate for the amount that we're requesting also. I think it's important that we get the funding that we're asking for.
Okay?
So I just have a question real
Yeah.
quick on utilities, the electricity, heat, propane. I mean, is that
Page.
page 28, the $250,000 increase, I mean, is that pretty solid, that number? I mean, obviously, the market can change, or things can change, so it can either go up or down, but that's a,
Right. Well, we have been, you'll see at the end of the year, we're always moving monies around to try to deal with some of the increases, and the electricity has gone up. The water and electricity went up at Rock Hall this year, and so we didn't put any increases in the budget for that. So I think it's a placeholder for right now, but one of the things that really kills us is propane. Propane is so high, and we have propane at every one of our schools. So that bill went up considerably more this year as well.
okay.
Partly because we have such old equipment, and
It's not quite efficient.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's not efficient. It's not energy efficient. So we pay the price for that.
Okay.
So that concludes my presentation of the budget for
Are there any additional
FY25.
questions for Dr. Couch before we go into public comment?
I just want to confirm something that I wrote down that you said and sort of respond to Ms. Sullivan when she asked about whether there'd be a reduction in force or attrition or whatever, that compared to this year, next year, would be 4 new positions, but 2 of them were 2 that weren't filled this year. So we're
Correct.
really only asking for 2 new ones. One's
Right.
the math teacher at the high school and the other's at Rock Hall Elementary. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, if there are no additional questions, we'll move into public comment. Okay, just as we move in, I am going to read the Kent County Board of Education rules for public participation. Speakers should limit their comments to 3 minutes. Comments about the actions or statements of individual staff members are not appropriate for public comments and should be referred to the superintendent of schools or processed through available channels. If submitting written testimony, speakers are requested to provide a copy to the president. Please remember that this is an opportunity for the community to address their comments to the board. It is not an opportunity for dialogue. If you have questions that need an answer, please contact the superintendent or write a letter to the Board of Education and a response will be sent back to you. I will be timing the public participation for 3 minutes. At 30 seconds, you will hear me say 30 seconds. That's to advise you that the participation ends in 30 seconds. I will not start the time clock until your very first word. So just to be aware, if you hear it, if for whatever reason this trusty timer doesn't work, then I will make sure that we course correct and we get it right. But you will hear the beeping, and I'll make sure that everyone's aware of when it starts, and you'll hear it when it stops. Okay. So the first public participant is Jillian Spiro.
Good evening, President Getz, Dr. Couch, members of the board. I'm speaking tonight because the proposed budget is requesting an additional classroom teacher for Rock Hall Elementary School, so I felt you should hear from me directly. Since the 21-22 school year, when I became principal of Rock Hall Elementary School, we have been reduced three teachers. Enrollment since 2021 has increased from 183 students to 207 students, with the addition of a language support classroom, as well as we house the district's 3-year-old program. This year, our second grade was slated to be one class, which over the summer grew to 33 students. So I have divided that into 2 sections by utilizing my coach and my community school specialist, which for concentration of poverty, no other community school specialists are also classroom teachers. I will also point out that the coach positions will not be funded next year because that was Maryland Leads money. My third grade class has remained 31 students with a second-year teacher all year. I know that there's arguments about class size, but I just want to point out that there were some discrepancies within that class. So from fall to winter, we had 0% growth. After we pushed in some support from certified staff to make smaller instructional blocks during, after whole group instruction, from December to March, we saw a 43% increase in their achievement data. Support for this was sustained through 7 student support coaches and a school-wide coach, all of which will be cut because they were all funded through Maryland Leads. Our pre-K enrollment typically increases. I know we do our enrollment at this time of year for pre-KK. Rock Hall always has late registration, and we get a lot of that over the summer. Last year, we had 16 enrolled at pre-K registration and then 26 on day 1. And that was for pre-K. Kindergarten was last year 25, and now we had 30 moved to first grade. So I just want to highlight that Rock Hall Elementary School has been fortunate to offer, for the most part, class sizes that have been small. It is reflected in our data. Our Maryland Report Card in 2022 went from a 3-star school rating to a 4. Also, all of our children met in academic progress or achievement in all areas. I want to thank you in advance for your consideration for this position. The staff and students at Rock Hall believe it is vital for our continued growth and success.
Thank you. Okay, our next public participant is Dan DeVillio.
Good evening, President Getz, board members, and Dr. Couch. Kent County is a small community, and those of us who call it home often play many different roles. I'm here to speak to you tonight as a community member, a school system employee, a Garnett parent, a volunteer youth sports coach, occasional field trip chaperone, and an advocate for the children of Kent County. I am asking you to approve the budget before you and advocate strongly for its incorporation in full into the greater Kent County government budget. I recognize the need to be mindful of the budgetary challenges our county faces, but we also have to be clear in communicating the needs of our students and our schools. If the school system doesn't ask for it in the budget, the county leadership doesn't know it's a priority. As a school system, we face recruitment and retention challenges. I hate the idea of competing school systems when we all have the same mission of providing children with the best education. But when it comes to recruitment and retention, we are competing with neighboring school systems. We have had past members of the Kent County Board of Education who taught in other school systems while sitting in the chairs you occupy today. Salaries are a key part of recruitment and retention, especially as the cost of living continues to increase, more so it seems here in Kent County. We also hear concerns about teacher turnover at the middle school. Imagine spending 40, 50, 60 hours a week working in that aging middle school building that is in such poor condition. This budget includes an important request to keep our middle school replacement project on track. Please advocate that the county set aside funding for the project's architecture and engineering, as is requested in the budget packet before you. Our middle school teachers deserve a better place to work, and we owe our students a state-of-the-art building in which to learn. The budget is not prepared by a single person. The Kent County Public Schools budget is prepared through a team approach, not top-down dictation. building an overall fiscal plan for the entire school system that incorporates the needs expressed by each school and department and reflects the increased costs we face for operations. Kent County Public Schools is part of the government of this county. It is a county agency that exclusively serves county residents. A child and their family must live in Kent County to attend our schools. And those children, those young county residents, do not get to vote. I'm asking you, as our elected Board of Education, representing the children and teachers of Kent County, to approve this
30
budget
seconds.
and ensure our students continue to receive a great education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next participant is Wendy Keene.
Good evening, President Getz, Dr. Couch, members of the board. The Kent County Administrators and Supervisors Association would like to speak tonight on behalf of Dr. Couch's proposed budget. Our central office has 7 supervisors and 6 coordinators among the 7 departments who work closely with the 5 principals and 4 assistant principals to ensure that the education, safety, and well-being of our staff and students are met. While we acknowledge that we are a small district with 1,800 students, we must acknowledge that we also have the same responsibilities and requirements that larger districts also have. Because of our size, we all wear multiple hats. Reductions to the proposed budget would heavily impact our students, staff, and administrators that we all rely on to move and to help keep our schools moving forward. We are advocating for full funding of the proposed budget to support student outcomes and continued progress here in Kent County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next participant is Bill Fluke.
President Getz, Dr. Couch, members of the board, as I've spoken to you all before, I'm a retired school psychologist. I've spent my whole career helping promote the mental and behavioral health of students in a lot of different school systems. Certainly appreciate the support which this system is showing for social, emotional, and mental health functioning of our students. I'll just cite parenthetically, as a member of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, local chapter in Kent and Queen Anne's, I'll be participating in the Mental Health Resource Fair taking place this Thursday at Kent County High School. And I really appreciate that opportunity. So I want to certainly urge full funding for this budget, and I would urge in particular continuing support for our school counselors, school psychologists, and school social workers. These mental health professionals are essential to supporting our students. The system has made a commitment to support our students in that way, and I trust that we'll continue it. We know that our students do better in school if we address their social, emotional, and mental health needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, just wanted to add, we received an email, at least I received an email, I'm assuming maybe other board members did also, from Cheryl Bachman, who is our Kent County Teacher Association Negotiations Chair, 18-year Kent County Public School teacher, and the Social Studies Department Chair at Kent County High School. If the board is okay, I'd like to read the email. I'm assuming that's okay with everyone? Okay, great. I will also time myself and try not to race through, but definitely want to read the email into the record, and then we'll go from there. By the way, the email was received today, Monday, April 29th, 2024 at 12:30 p.m. Good afternoon, Mr. Getz. I apologize that I'm unable to attend the board budget hearing in person tonight. I still wanted to express my thoughts on the budget process and the need for proper funding of KCPS. As a concerned educator, KCTA member, and parent within the Kent County Public School System, I strongly urge you to prioritize essential investments in the upcoming 2024-2025 school year budget and to advocate for those needs to the Kent County Commissioners. Specifically, I advocate for teacher salary increases, the addition of teaching positions, and funding for innovative educational programs. This funding is vital for KCPS and the Kent County community as a whole. Our teachers are the backbone of our educational system. Their dedication and expertise directly shape the success of our students. I'm fortunate enough to have my own children attend KCPS. I've seen the impact their teachers have had not only on their learning, but also on their personal well-being. This is my 18th year in KCPS, and I know the hard work and dedication of my colleagues to be awe-inspiring. To attract and retain the highest quality educators, it is imperative that we offer competitive salaries. We tell our members that Kent County is one of the best places to work, but it's getting harder to argue when they know they can receive a higher salary, less expensive health care, and a better health care split when they retire elsewhere. While we often just compare ourselves to our Maryland neighbors, it is important to note that other nearby states offer better pension systems, healthcare splits, salary step increases, extensive maternity and paternity leave, and better calendars because they are on an hourly basis instead of days. At the very least, increased compensation would demonstrate our respect and appreciation for the invaluable work of Kent County teachers. Additionally, we need to make sure that our schools are fully staffed for the 2024-2025 school year and beyond. Each year when we face cuts, we hear that we are going to use attrition to make those cuts. What is often unsaid about loss through attrition is that it means a position will not be refilled or that a position will now be shared between schools. Our current student-to-teacher ratios create a strain on faculty and reduce the quality of individualized attention that students deserve. For example, without an English as a second language teacher for each school, our students who are emergent bilingual learners are not getting the time or attention they deserve to ensure their success. Hiring additional qualified teachers would not only ease the burden, but also create opportunities for smaller class sizes and more personalized instruction. Finally, innovative educational programs are essential for preparing our students for the opportunities and challenges of the 21st century. KCPS proudly boasts one of the best CTE programs and graduation rates in Maryland, a thriving STEM program, and a vibrant arts program, even though schools have to share art and music teachers. Investing in such programs would provide our students with cutting-edge learning experiences that foster critical thinking, problem-solving, and creativity. I believe a budget reflecting these priorities is not an investment in our students, but also an investment in the future for our entire community. Well-educated, empowered students become the leaders, innovators, and engaged citizens of tomorrow. I hope Kent County teachers and students can count on you to request adequate funding from the county commissioners, not the bare minimum. Happy to discuss further. Try it.
You got
Sorry,
it.
guys, we're old there. Okay, Ms. Gale, is there any additional participants? Okay. Okay, so the budget was information this evening. Thank you for the public comments. We appreciate you coming forward. The next item on the notification is our next meeting. I will say in this space, Monday, May 13th, I have a very hard conflict that I will not be able to make this meeting. So I had mentioned to Dr. Couch earlier that we could move it, or we could keep it, or if there were some other dates that were an option. And Dr. Couch, I don't know what you were looking at.
Yes, some
And I apologize, by the
ideas
way.
that came out were the 6th and the 20th. I cannot do the 20th. 27th is Memorial Day, but we do have a quarterly meeting on the 28th. So if we did the 6th, that's a week from today, which means staff would be required to get everything ready for the board meeting this week. I'm not saying it's like impossible, but in some cases, you're probably not going to get that information that you need. You won't get it right away.
Is there something else the week of the 13th that you could do, Joe?
Does it have to be a Monday? Or are you going to be gone the whole week?
I'm
Joe?
out Monday, 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Senior awards are the 16th,
Senior awards are the 16th.
and I'm on annual leave on the 17th, so bye. See you
And
later.
schools are closed and a half day the week before.
I mean, there's an option if the 20th we can't do. I mean, we do have a quarterly meeting scheduled for the 28th.
And that's what I was going to say. We could do as much as we could, or we can, on the 6th, if you're interested in doing that. We already have a quarterly meeting planned for the 28th.
So we could break it
What
up.
can't get ready for the 6th, we could shift over to the 28th. And the reason why I say maybe let's go ahead and see what we can get done for the 6th is, that way it would minimize a super long board meeting on the 28th. I don't know what all you have planned for the 28th, but, you know, you certainly could do a meeting on the 6th, and then you've got a planned meeting on the 28th, and we could divide it up between those two. Or you could just save everything for the 28th and then just do like an all-nighter. I'm kidding. It won't be an all-nighter.
Trish McGee used to be the. could you
Yeah,
do
but it would be Ms. Sullivan as the vice president, it wouldn't
Right.
be a,
I'm available on the 6th, and I like the idea of kind of splitting it up with what we can get done on the 6th, and
I'm not
then
available.
pushing everything else to the quarterly meeting.
And again, guys, I apologize. I found out today I have a hard conflict. I'm actually traveling out of state, so I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but I'm not available on the 6th.
I might not be here in the 6th either, but I'll try. Let me look at my calendar.
I'm not in-
Might just be the three of you.
So, what we could do is, well, you've got two options then. If the 6th sounds like it may be problematic, then we could run with the 13th, but with 4 board members. Or do the 28th and do a mega long, super long board meeting.
I hate
I'd
waiting
rather
till
do
the
it all at once.
28th because it's so close to the end of the school year and graduation and all that other stuff.
The problem is on the 13th, you're going to have to approve the budget. So, I mean, so
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
that needs to be approved.
Which we won't have on the 6th, is that correct?
Well, we have it.
Okay.
It's already done, so we have that. Now, there'll be other financial information that you probably wouldn't get till the 4th, which, you know, typically on any given board week, you would get 2nd or 3rd. So you might have to wait till the 4th, but
What about the
I was going to
7th?
say, what's wrong with the 7th?
I'm out the 7th, 8th, and 9th of that week. You know, I'm rolling.
Don't we have other meetings too? How many other meetings do we have?
I'm not part of those, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of stuff. I don't know.
The 9th, you're out of town on the 9th?
Yeah, I could do the night of the 9th.
Well, we can't, because, no, you can't, because that's.
Oh,
the-
that's right.
I was going to say, you can't do that.
We started.
Well,
at
I
9
guess you
if we started
could.
at 9 PM. Sorry, Dan.
No, we can't do the
Joe,
9th.
13th, you're out the 13th, 14th, 15th?
Correct.
What about the 16th?
I'm.
It's senior awards.
Senior awards.
Oh,
that
right,
night.
okay.
Yeah, guys, May is horrible for me. And then the week after, we've got,
Yep.
and then it's the last week where we have the quarterly.
Yeah. So, we got 3 options. We could do what we can on the 6th and with whoever's here. We could run with the date, since we already have the date set for the 13th, run with the 13th and just go with 4 board members. Or do it all on the 28th. So those are your 3 options.
I'm available whenever, so
I'll do the
Fine.
6th. I can do the 6th. I have something that I can cancel.
I can do the 6th also.
I mean, if we can get some of that off the plate before the next meeting, it'd be wonderful.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
it'll
What
help.
are we doing at that meeting? We're voting on the budget? Is that what we're? Okay.
That's probably the most important thing you're going to be doing.
and you'll give us a primer on the feedback you got from the commissioners for those of us who aren't able to attend tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
So run with the 6th?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's
Hey,
fine.
All right.
I appreciate it, guys.
I understand.
Well, we're going to run with whatever we can get done on
Yeah.
the 6th.
Yeah, I
And
just
then we'll just
appreciate
have to, that's just going to be one of the things we'll have to try to nail down tomorrow afternoon or Wednesday.
All of our meetings.
Yeah, I have to get you a refreshment. This is my work. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so thanks again, guys. So the 6th it'll be. So the notification of our next meeting, the next meeting of the Board of Education in Kent County will be held on Monday, May 6th, beginning at 5:30 PM with the open session. Open session will be immediately followed by the board members going into closed session. The open session will resume at 6:30 PM. This meeting will be located at the Administrative Building in the boardroom, 5608 Boundary Avenue, Rock Hall, Maryland, 21661. That address is this building in this room. And there we have that notice. And then the next item and the last item for the evening is to adjourn. The administration is recommending approval to adjourn the meeting. Do we have approval a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Sullivan has the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Rhodes has the second. Do we have any further comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Ms. Messick?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion passes. The meeting is adjourned at 6:51 PM.